topic that we have for today, Miss Rachel and Champ, of course, the game plan. So alam naman natin in any kind of sport, hindi lang sa sport, no, even the plan that we have sa buhay natin, we have a game plan. So dito sa topic natin na pag-uusapan natin with you guys, um, how was the game plan before the fight with Raymart?
Mm, well, the game plan sa totoo was a smooth camp, no? That was
Mm.
the first one. And yeah, he lost his tooth and then we had COVID. So even when the game plan goes awry, we have to make do. We have to
Yes.
Mhm.
adjust and we have to pick up where the other person can't help out.
Yes.
And as far as the game plan with Mart, the thing is that the game plan we put together was based on his previous fights.
Mm.
He showed a lot of improvement. He showed a lot of adjustment,
Yes.
and that was something we didn't expect first and second round.
Yes.
So these are things that yung game plan. It's okay kasi you're basing it off yung fundamentals ng kalaban.
Mhm.
But he was so talented that he was able to deceive us the
Well,
first
they
and
worked
second
very
round.
hard. Oh, shout out to TUC, by the way, and Mon. Thank you guys for always being here.
And AKM.
Yes,
Shout out.
KM as well. Thank you guys. But yeah, yun nga no. Kasi iba yung nakakalaban nila, at saka iba yung style ko rin eh. Alam nila na ako sumusugod ako palagi, lumalaban ako palagi, at alam nila na malakas ako. So they were trying to do a different game plan na kasi yung base namin is yung game plan nila dati, no? Yung
Mhm, mhm.
wood, nag-agresibo, sumusuntok ng marami,
Mhm.
so all of that, no? At saka sabi ko, makukuha ko to ng counter.
Mhm.
Kasi yung wala siyang depensa pag sumusuntok siya. So I
Mhm.
was looking at that and sabi ko I can counter him with the left hook. And nung umpisa ng laban, at first he was trying to be aggressive and then natamaan ko ng konti. But although ang nakakaiba dito is magaling yung jab nila.
Mm.
Magaling yung job ni Raymart.
We disregarded the jab, no? Kasi sabi ko,
Mm.
it's only for a feint to throw the straight, sabi ko. And
Yeah.
then when we came to the realization in the first round, sabi ko na he's moving his foot, his feet, hindi siya stagnant, at saka hindi siya stationary. He's
Mhm.
actually boxing, he's actually moving, and he's throwing his jab. Yung jab niya ay na-surprise ako doon. Na-surprise talaga ako doon.
Okay.
For us, yung game plan namin is, we're gonna counter him. We're gonna do our head movement and papasok kami and counter him when he opens up.
Mhm.
Kasi mahilig mag ano eh, suntukan.
Mm.
Meaning he loves to brawl.
Yeah.
And so yun yung inasahan namin, but he never showed it. Yung pinakita niya
Oh.
doon ay magaling yung depensa niya at
Uh-huh.
magaling yung jab at saka he was doing his movement, no?
Yes.
So nakakaiba yung ano, at saka of course the first second round malamig kasi doon eh. Na-surprise ako
Oo.
na kasi nung nag-warm up ako, talagang warm up ako, talagang pinawisan ako ng husto. And then nung naghintay ako kasi pumasok siya ng ring, kahit nagmo-move ako, ganun pa rin.
Paano?
Sumasayaw kayo. pag pag nagmo-move
Music. Parang cha-cha siya.
You're just too good to be true.
Parang ganun. Alright, alright. Nakapekto champ yung weather na malamig dun sa warm-up mo.
It was like
Yeah,
For you
na-surprise
to
ako doon. Na-surprise ako doon kasi
Ah.
malamig siya. Although warm up ako sa paglabas ko ng locker room. So hindi ako nilamigan. Ang problema lang yung internal temperature ko lumalamig siya. Kasi malamig
Oh.
talaga sa labas. Although hindi ko na feel yung kalamig. But
Ah.
nung pumunta ako ng ring, wala na yung pawis ko, wala na yung sweat, wala nang pawis, wala na talaga. At
Okay.
kaya nga was trying to warm up. Sabi ni coach dito, sabi niya na you gotta move your legs. We practice
Yes.
moving your legs, lateral movements using your jab. At
Yes.
hindi ko nagawa yun until like siguro the third or the fourth
Oo
round.
nga. Parang frozen siya.
Yeah.
Parang, like,
Mm.
again, like,
Let it go.
ganon na
Let it
naman.
go. Frozen sabi ko.
It wasn't like, kasi sa locker room, of course, merong heater, merong controlled temperature, at yung locker room niya, sobrang malayo yung walk.
Yes,
And
yes,
then,
yes. Kasi nandun ako sa pinakamalayo yung
Oo.
locker room ko.
Oh,
So,
wow.
malayo yung lakad ko sa hallway. Papunta palabas ng to get into the arena.
Yes.
Kasi yung sa likod ng locker room, malayo talaga yung walk namin eh.
Oo nga.
Hindi ko
And then-
nakakalain na mas malayo pala yun.
and then stage ni Mart before you. So parang we're waiting in line. So Ray Mart has to go, like, they stage him, then he has to walk all the way to the ring. They have to let yung ring entrance music niya play, and then si Nonito. If you like start to time from the locker room, yung controlled temperature from yung hallway, and then
Yes.
waiting, parang almost 10-15 minutes before they actually start
me in there.
yung first
Yeah.
round, no?
Yeah.
Really?
And
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it was like, what was it, 40 something degrees
Yes, it was
Fahrenheit?
42.
Yeah.
Walang wind. So at least walang wind, no? Kasi if there was wind or yung
Yeah, buti
rain,
nga wala hindi umulan because
Wow.
the next day yung
Merong
storm in Southern California lumabas yung storm nung
Yes.
paalis na kami.
Uh-uh.
So we were very grateful na hindi umulan, hindi malakas yung hangin. So we were very very grateful for that. But going back into the game plan, we studied she studied Gaballo a lot. I didn't really look at Gaballo's siguro yung one fight lang ni yung Puerto Riqueño Rodriguez.
yeah. Si Rodriguez.
Yeah, so Manny
Uh-huh.
Rodriguez. Yun lang ang napanood ko. Very very brief lang. Very
Yeah.
short. Pero parang na-memorize ko yung But si Madam dito ay yung talagang nagawa ng game plan. So yung mga laro movement, may picture doon na nakita nyo na I squared him up.
Yes.
So wala yung balance niya. So I would jab here, I would jab there, and he would step forward, then nakita ko na square up. So wala na yung power kasi wala na siyang leverage. So we work on lateral movements, we worked on the jab, and we worked on the counter. For the most part, ang nakita namin ay one of our biggest game plan was body shot.
Oh,
Got it.
kasi like yung even sa first and second round, yung what they were working on sa camp was working, no? It was, hands up, blocking the left hook palagi, at staying away. Yung jab was effective, which wasn't a jab that he's ever thrown before. Yung jab niya before was a setup jab. It wasn't an effective jab. It wasn't, trying to, it wasn't an actual stoppage kind of strong jab.
Yeah.
But this time, sa first and second round, that's when we saw, okay, he changed his jab. Yung timing niya sa jab was different. It was faster. He brought it back faster, and then he covered up his face again.
Yes.
Yes.
So we were, we had to adjust for that. But the thing is yung fundamental trainings, yung habits, yung good habits at yung bad habits will always come back if it is something that you haven't been working on for months.
Yes.
So it's a 8-week camp, 12-week camp. You're focusing on something that you have that's changing your natural rhythm.
Yes.
When it's only that long, it's not something that's natural. Because when we start getting tired, we start getting into our natural rhythm of what we normally do sa habits, diba?
Yes.
So yung habits niya,
Madam, ganda mo, madam. I like it when naka-explain ganyan, talagang ginamit yung utak, no? Sabi ko, God, I'm so in love with you.
ganon.
Of course, yeah. So going back to the game plan, Miss Rachel and Champ, did you guys have like a backup game plan in case the first game plan will not work, or did you just adjust and stick kayo sa game plan nyo talaga? with the fight with Raymart.
I mean, we like I said, like what I was trying to say is that alam ko that as the rounds go on, and he showed this with even with Rodriguez, when the rounds go
Mm.
on, yung bad habits niya
Yeah,
will
bumabalik.
start to come back.
Yes.
And so we
Oh,
were betting on it, and it started to come back. And so
okay.
when we started seeing that those openings, it was parang like he was like, okay, yung first priority niya is to protect against yung left hook. Yung
Oh,
first
yes.
priority, kahit ano, just make
Yes,
sure
that's true.
yung hand is up.
Yeah,
Pero
nakataas. Yes.
being that when he started to trade, there were certain things that he did that it went back to yung basics niya, and yung foundation niya, yung fundamentals that has been ingrained to him since he started boxing.
Yes.
And we started to see it. We started to work around getting him to do yung bad habits again more. And then we set that whole thing up sa fourth round.
Ano bang nilagay mo sa wine ko? Ang ganda-ganda mo.
Shout out sa'yo, Resbackers. Shout out. Siyempre, shout out naman si Resbackers Connect TV.
Oh, may filter ba?
Oo nga.
Shout out, paki-shout out naman si Resbackers Connect TV.
Resbackers, shout out to you, brother. Resbacker Connect TV.
Yan.
Shout out. Thank you for being here.
Yun. So,
Me?
No, I was here first.
I wore this first.
Yeah, no, I wore this morning.
I wore this before.
No.
I got the first.
No.
I'm telling you, I got
No,
the
ako
first.
yung nauna kasi late ka natulog kagabi eh.
I still got up before
No,
you.
I did. Ako no? Oh.
Hi, Byron.
Yeah, no. What did you put in my wine?
Well,
you guys had a glass of wine?
I have been drinking
Celebration.
a while.
Yeah.
Wine ako. Kaya nga, uminit ako eh. Tinanggal ko yung jacket ko eh.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration.
Woo!
All right. So, Champ,
Yes.
anong in-expect mo kay Raymart when he tried to go like brawl with you? And gaano kalakas ang power niya? Were you surprised sa power niya, or you were expecting that already? Because
I expected sa record niya no na malakas sa sumuntok. Yun nga, hindi naman talaga ako natamaan ng solid kasi na-block ko lahat yung mga suntok niya. But na-feel ko yung lakas niya. No, na-feel ko yung heavy hand niya. So yun nga, I expected him to be strong, but then feel ko na makakaya ko yung suntok niya at feel ko na maka-advantage ako kung suntukan kami sa loob ng sa loob ng inside fighting, pag inside fighting.
yeah. So may
David, shout out David.
Yeah.
Congrats.
but the thing is that
Go
the
ahead.
way that we had situated, we knew, of course, diba, if you're ever at the end of yung punch, you're gonna sustain the most damage. So it was interesting because si Gaballo was a lot taller than Ubali.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, the same height, no?
Mapandak yung si Ubali. Yung si Gaballo, we're almost the same height.
Oh.
So it was really
Pero
interesting.
yung reach niya, you guys almost have the same reach, right? I think mas laban
Almost
ka,
the same
Champ.
reach din.
Almost.
Almost the same reach.
And you know what was one of the difficult things sa ringside, no? At I wish there was something better that we could do about this. Maybe I just watch yung live stream. Kasi when I'm in the corner, so if you think about yung corner, you're watching the fight.
What are we doing here?
I'm showing him.
Okay.
Ganon. These are the people fighting,
Yeah.
and this is your corner.
Yeah.
So
Really?
Parang yung ring. So it's not so much as
So hindi malaki yung gap.
Yes.
So for me, in the corner, when I was
Ay, thank you,
watching,
David.
parang before, during the rounds, or if merong thanks, David.
Thank you, bro.
Merong exchange
Yeah.
sa corner ni Gaballo, no? On the other side of the ring. all I can see is yung back ni Nonito. Hindi ko alam, all the crowds going, woo, woo, everything's going. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
who hit?
Kasi
I
one side
can't
lang yung
see.
nakikita natin, no?
One
Hindi
side,
kaya lang sa TV na makikita talaga natin
Oo
yung
nga, yung
yung
dead
300,
bola.
yung
Oo, yung
360,
dalawa.
yes.
Yeah.
Oo.
So when I'm watching, of course, I'm giving yung pointer sa corner, pero yung perspective ko is so limited kasi yung ring is elevated, and then I have talaga merong, I was showing you yung corner kasi merong pole doon at there's so many blocking of what I can't see. So I'm only basing it as much as I can see. But when we watch the replay, I was like, oh, okay, he wasn't getting hit. But from yung perspective ng corner, we don't know.
You don't
And
know
so
kasi.
that's why I was always like harping, like, make sure you move your head, make sure you're moving your feet, your lateral movement. Because
Yes.
from our perspective, all we're seeing is Gaballo throwing, pero we can't see if it landed, if he's blocking or voila. So that's it's interesting because when we talk about yung refs,
Yes.
and young fans, they watch it on TV and they ask like, refs, what are you watching, diba? We understand kasi the refs only get one perspective. They don't get that beautiful shot, like every kind of angle that's going on in
Yes.
the ring. So that's one of the things that I've learned in the corner. I've been thinking if it's actually better for me to just live stream it on yung phone call, watch actually what's going on because I can't see it.
You
It's a
can really
really
see
bad
it.
angle for yung corner.
Is it always like that?
It's
It's
always
always
like
like that. Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow.
siguro ang i-practice mo is pag nag-training ako or mag-sparring ako, doon ka sa baba nakatitik,
sa ganon,
nakatingin. So that you will get to get the perspective of how kung ano yung position at saka yung movements ko. Siguro that's the only way you can kind of get it.
So ganito.
So it's really hard. It's really hard
It is.
for
I mean,
Well,
and that's
it's difficult kasi nangyayari rin, mabilis yung nangyayari eh. Tsaka
of
may
course.
pressure, maraming tao, you're in a heightened emotion, lahat-lahat. So nakikita mo, iba-iba yung nakikita mo instead of you're in a calm state at nakikita mo lahat.
yeah.
Okay. So, okay. My next question, kung hindi nag-work champ Miss Rachel yung the body shot, do you have another game plan for Gaballo? I mean, for that fight, or you guys
Yeah.
will really stick to that game plan that you guys already
No,
been?
there was other game plans that we had. Another one was really it was he was so open
Masyado kayo lumalay.
up the middle.
Well, nakikita namin, marami kami nakikita, no? At for me, I'm allowing her to see and create a good game plan. But for me as well, ako sanay na ako dun eh. So nakikita ko lahat at I have such arsenals and books and knowledge in my brain na kung ano man yung gusto kong gagamitin, nakukuha ko yun kasi nandun na nga, I have all that perspective, no? And because
Yes.
of all the experience that I have.
I think that's the fun part of having very high level opposition for sparring. Yung sparring niya was Tomoki Kameda and Angela Leo at si Kaye and Brendan.
Yeah.
And there was a couple others, those Japs that came,
Yes,
Japs Yamito, who came from LA. We had a bunch of different sparring. And the thing is, when you have a bunch of different sparring, you're having to, kasi sa 12 round ng sparring, si Nonito will stay in, and most likely he'll do 4 rounds with this guy, 4 rounds with this guy, 4 rounds with that guy, right? To make the 12. When that happens, you have to be able to adjust in the middle of a fight. And because you're dealing with different styles and different problems that we have to overcome. But the level of sparring we had this time was amazing. It was almost like a match, really. Like, as far as
mas mahirap yung sparring namin kasi magaling yung
these were former world
yes,
champions.
former world champions. So yung
Oh,
mahirap
wow.
yung namin, yung sparring, it was very, very challenging.
It was very challenging and
But I
very
learned a lot from it.
and very respectful. It wasn't some kind of back and forth and trash talking, we would always come after the sparring. We would all sit down, and
Mm-hmm.
their coach and our coach would be like, well, this is what you did. Nonito would talk to yung sparring partners niya and be like, well, this is what I saw. So the
Mm-hmm.
next sparring, these guys knew, and then they would have to level up. And because they were leveling up, si Nonito would have to level up then, because now they knew what he was looking for. And
Mm-hmm.
it would be a very good push and motivator throughout the sparring. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
sparring was a very
Yeah,
key thing.
importante yung maganda yung ano mo, training camp because na-inspire ka rin sa mga kasparing mo, sa mga kung sino man yung nasa paligiran mo. Na-inspire ka doon, na-inspire ako. So it was a very, very good camp regardless of all the adversity na nawala yung tooth ko or or naka-COVID ako or ganito ganyan.
Yeah.
Byron, ask him what he wants for Christmas.
What do you have for Christmas, champ?
Yung two front teeth.
220.
Shout out Teddy Gumbana. Shout out sa inyo.
Uh,
Ay guys, ano lang sa baba, ano lang tayo, easy lang tayo sa baba. Everybody's welcome here just to be,
yes, yes, yes.
everybody's welcome here.
Yeah,
So
let's not put it here. This is about ang ating usapan to na kung ano yung game plan, ano yung
Yes, yes.
tandem namin, kung ano man yung problema nyo dyan, kayo na lang po dyan. Wag mong ipakita sa mga tao dito kasi it's not necessary here. So please.
And if there's guys from the other side that are being respectful, please do not hide them. Like just allow
Yeah,
them to speak as long as they're being respectful naman. No?
Yes.
So
Kasi
babalik.
it's 5 days lang until Christmas, guys.
Yes, come on.
Santa is watching.
Oo nga.
So champ, were you nasaktan ka ba ni Raymart? On the
Wala naman kasi hindi
Wala.
naman talaga ako natamaan ng
solid.
solid.
Got
Yes.
it.
I think
Although
they said they were thinking about yung when you remember with yung third round ba? When you
Oh.
guys were going in and he hit you with a straight, pero yung straight
well,
like parang hindi.
yung straight nakabiran ko yun and then umatras ako with a an unstable position and then he went with the 1-2 pero lahat naman nakatama lang sa sa
Pero heavy
Hmm.
yung hand niya.
malakas sa sumunto pag nandun yung leverage at saka momentum.
Yung uppercut ni Raymart kasi we saw his uppercut eh.
Hindi naman nakatama yung uppercut niya at saka nakikita ko yung uppercut niya palagi.
Okay.
So, yun nga, I'd never felt na natamaan ako ng solid. So, I can't say for sure kung but I know na malakas sa sumuntok.
Yeah, I think the thing is that our game plan was to make sure that we acknowledge yung power niya and make the proper adjustments to not get hit by them. He has very strong punching power. And that's why we, when he came to Vegas, we invited him to dinner and we told him like, one day you will become a world champion. This is not, for me, I feel this is not a loss for him because he's so young and he's gone 24-1. That's still an amazing record. I think a lot of these young boxers hold so much yung undefeated record, but they don't ever get through adversity being undefeated. And then when yung loss comes, parang they don't know how to really take it, at how to grow from it. And we've talking to JC at Raymart, and we believe in his talent. This is something that he just needs to learn and grow from because yung next fight niya is going to be just even better. It's going to be so much better with the things he learned from this. For me, I really was thankful that with Mark, of course, Filipino versus Filipino. That's one. And then yung camaraderie, yung respect. This was the best way to end the fight. I wanted it not to be something that was detrimental or health threatening. And honestly, this was the best way. Kasi yung talaga, when you get knocked out sa ulo, you don't know. you really don't know what
Tsaka
happens the long term.
may long term, baka may
Oo
long
nga.
term effect po yun. So,
Tama.
and it was good na it was just a body shot, and something na not damaging in terms of
Oo.
the physical, kasi minsan pag natamaan ka sa ulo, iba-iba yung reaction ng mga tao at saka sa katawan nila.
Pero champ, nung na-body shot mo siya, he tried to stand up and then bumaba siya ulit. So, ibig sabihin, it was a very powerful body shot.
It was powerful, pero I've already worked on it from the very beginning, yung body shot ko.
Mm.
So, hindi lang yun na isang tama. It was a
It was, yes,
accumulation of many body shots.
Tama.
Kaya nga, and of course, because of my tendency of throwing the left hook, it opened up yung body shot.
And I honestly thought, like, here's the thing is that he could have just stayed down, pero yung heart niya, talaga, yung puso niya, he had, the determination to at least try. And I give him respect for that. Because, like, there's other boxers that they won't even try to stand up. But he tried, and his body didn't comply. There's nothing, that's the one thing about a body shot that we've talked about, is that you can think that you can stand, pero your body is not it. They're like, yeah, no, we're not gonna get up again. So he at least tried to get up. He at least tried to beat the count. There's so many boxers that don't even try and they just give up na.
Yeah.
Well, Eli Wally, did I expect him to being stopped after the knockdown? Yun nga, no, I feel na it was a good shot. I feel na baka siguro maka get up pa rin siya, but then nung lahat ng mga accumulation ko na body shot ay hindi ko nilagay sa calculation ko yon, but I feel na yung suntok ko malakas siya, pero I really thought he was gonna get up, but he tried, but yun nga, no, much more damaging than I thought it could be, because of all the previous punches na natamaan ko sa tiyan. At I remember pa rin sa first and the early rounds, nung sinuntok ko siya sa tiyan, every time na matamaan ko siya, binigyan niya ako ng smile. So alam ko na nasaktan siya doon. Because every time na natamaan ko siya talaga ng solid, and parang umatras siya, and then he gives me this smile. Sabi ko, okay, now I know na natamaan ko at may apekto yun. So kaya nga nung natamaan ko siya ng rib, as much as he wanted to get up, at as much as na-feel ko na makatayo siya, because of all the other punches from the previous punch at natamaan ko siya, it accumulated.
Yeah, I think if we are ever to just watch yung replay, no, if you were to go back and start to watch every single body punch that accumulated to that single one at the end, it literally is someone hitting you constantly, and then that perfect one where you didn't think that you would think that you would be able to take it. It was just too much for the body. And with the body shot, like I said, that's one of those things that your head could want to continue, but your body won't comply.
Is that like, my mind is telling me no?
No, it's not. Oh my God.
But my body is telling me yeah.
May tanong pa dito, champ.
After he has wine.
Ito ba, champ?
Ay, nako.
Ito, champ. Champ, how will you rate Raymond's overall performance after you have exchanged punches with him, specifically his power?
Yung power niya is about B+ to A-. All it needs is to get to an A. Siguro is more leverage, no, meaning that proper balance. And then yung movement naman mabilis din eh. He's just not utilizing the movement. I believe that he is in a B class because of how his performance in terms of yung mga, kasi alam ko na mas malakas pa siya, alam ko na mas mabilis pa siya, is because of his footing, his foundation, and his stance. is what limiting him from being an A plus fighter.
Yeah.
I see.
And
I see.
those are things he can work on, of course, no.
Yes.
And that's why I said, like, I think with proper training and consistent correction on his fundamentals, he can be more than what he's shown today. He can be a world champion someday. But
I know.
it's fine tuning. It's these small things about when your teacher tells you, all you need to do is just do a little bit more, and you'll have an A
Mhm.
plus. And you're like, okay, sige, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna do this. That's where he is. Because if this was going to be a walkover, we wouldn't have had taken the time. We wouldn't have had been so serious and gotten these former world champions as our sparring partners. We
Mhm.
respected yung power niya at yung boxing ability niya so
Mhm.
much that we need to be over prepared, especially with the things that we can. Byron, kick him off. Kick him off. Ako na lang.
Kasi yes, ganun pa rin. Parang fine wine ka talaga.
No
Gumaganda
one
ka.
said you're fine
No,
wine.
okay. For me,
Someone in
ikaw
the
yung
chat.
fine wine ko. Talagang gumaganda. It's just, you're more, you're more beautiful.
Ay,
No?
nako.
You're just so much more beautiful.
Yeah.
Parang parang
So,
pinay yung usapan mo to.
well, Champ, is there in a game plan, you Miss Rachel and Champ, na if Raymart will go toe to toe with you guys, are you guys gonna like go with toe to toe with Raymart?
We expected, I wanted to make that fight toe to toe. Kasi
Mm.
alam ko na yung suntok niya ay iba yung wala siyang distansya eh. He doesn't know how to gauge the distance, whether nasa loob ako or sa labas ako. Yung distansya
Yeah.
niya ay pareho-pareho lang. And he can't gauge it. For me, alam ko na yun. So, we wanted that fight to toe-to-toe. But yeah, surprisingly, he was backing out and he was boxing. So, we want na kaya nga, pumapasok ako. And he would stand back, and he would use his jab. Great. His jab was amazing. Yun nga. But yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it was interesting to me because I kept wanting to hear what was in the other corner, right? After yung fight. For me, I told them Showtime came and they said, "Oh, Chief Second, we're gonna give you a mic," and I was like, "No, you're not." And they're like, "No, we're gonna mic you." I was like, "No, you're not." I was like, "You're not going to mic me. Leave me alone." And so they didn't mic me. Pero sa other corner, after we were watching the replay, I really wanted to hear what they were, telling him to do. And yung instruction nila in ever so, because it's always broken when they're trying to get what the coach is saying, was counter with a 3-4. And so for me, I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong. 3 is hook, 4 is overhand.
straight.
Oh, straight.
That's the
1,
thing.
2,
Bam, bam. That's
3.
what he does all the time.
Okay. So, but the unfortunate part with that
Well,
is
overhand too, yeah. 4, 1.
1,
Depends.
1, 2,
Depende
3, 4.
who is
You're
saying it.
changing the numbers.
No, everybody's different. Some people go on the other side. Some people are different. So I don't know
Okay,
what
1,
their
2, 3,
count
4.
was.
What's 1, 2, 3, 4? Because it
For me, is jab, straight, hook is 1, 2, 3,
and then
and
4.
then overhand.
Overhand's 4.
Yes, and then body is
5,
5,
6.
6, right?
Oh, okay.
But so other people, iba yung ano nila, like what's his name? Kai is so different than ours. Their numbers.
Yeah, their numbers are different.
Yeah.
So it's weird, the language of boxing. But when I was looking back, if 4 was what I thought it was, and 4 was an overhand, because his overhand was really, really strong. We've seen it in other fights, so that's something
Yeah.
that we're watching for. If it was 3-4 lang, for me, that was what was going to open him up for yung body shot. Because
Yeah.
those are wide punches, right? And with the wide punches, the elbows come up, the body shots are open. So of course I didn't know this during the fight. It was when I watched it back, and I was like, why would you tell him to open up his elbows to throw wide punches in an enclosed game, and then open him up for the body when you knew that Nonito was already starting to target the body? But
well, they weren't accounting for the body because they were accounting for.
Yeah.
So if I throw a hook, an overhand would be most likely would get. rather than a straight. Because pag naka-straight, most likely I'll cross. But if I'm throwing here and you go an overhand, it's gonna go over my hook, and that's why they plan to do that. Kasi if I'm throwing a left hook, if he's not blocking, which is still a very dangerous game, pag naka ano mo, di ba? I'm throwing a hook, it's gonna land faster than your
Oh,
overhand.
nga. So his
You know?
his game was 3 and 4. So he was gonna go hook for hook.
So did you read this game plan, champ? Nabasa mo ba yung game plan ni Raymart?
Yes, 100%.
Okay,
Yeah,
100%.
nabasa ko
Okay.
yung movement niya at saka yung game plan niya. At
And
kaya nga, when I was throwing the left hook, nakataas yung kamay niya.
uh-huh.
And that's why I went underneath. And throughout the whole time, yun nga, ang ginawa namin, even in training camp, was to
Yeah.
go to the body. Kasi alam namin na itataas niya yung elbow niya.
Even if it
Uh-huh.
wasn't like, so the one thing about his elbows that we didn't perceive
Mm.
is round 1 and 2, yung elbows niya talaga dikit like this, right?
Mhm.
What we understood is that during in between yung punches niya, yung combinations niya, they would come up. That's what we were waiting for. Pero so round 1 and 2, it was like this. Pero yung elbows, it's still up, no?
Mhm.
But what we were game planning was for when he starts to throw, especially wide, his elbows are going to come up. It would allow for the body shot to be open.
Got it. Does he trying to set you up, champ, sa fight nyo? Does he trying to set you up with a
Uh,
shot?
there was early on, yung kasi yung setup niya is the hook straight. Hook straight. Yun lang talagang nakikita mo talaga na hook straight.
Mhm.
And he would counter back with the left hook all the time pag sumusuntok ako. But ang ano lang is I did not give him enough time to set up. Kasi pinipressure ko palagi
Mhm.
and did not give him the distance to set up.
Mhm. I see.
We were honestly expecting him to come forward more.
Yes.
Oh,
That was
really?
yeah, he's going to the CR.
Yeah, so nung hindi nangyari yun, Miss Rachel, were you guys surprised? And pumasok ba sa isip niya, he's up to something?
Um, during the first round, that's where I usually gauge, no? And so I started to realize, okay, they're trying to box.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Because of course we know, like, if you start going boxing from a distance, if you are going to go through the 12 rounds, then you're trying to rack up points. And the jab, from what we knew before, the jab was parang a lazy jab. It wasn't effective. And but he came with a very effective jab. The jab was strong. It was quick.
Yeah,
And it
surprised
came
nga ako
back.
dun eh. Surprised na nga ako dun
Oo
because
Really?
very effective jab.
Yeah.
At saka is hindi lang yung isa, dinadalawa niya. So I was very surprised na of all of that change na hindi ko nakita sa lahat ng laban niya.
Mm.
Which like I said, I give credit to his corner for setting that up. And because of that, that's why we had to change the game plan to bait him more to throw. Even the telecast was saying that Nonito and Mart were very they were not calculated, but they were conserving and strategic about the punches they were throwing because they wanted to see what the other guy was going to do, especially with Mark going backwards instead of what we expected going forward.
Yes.
He was trying to see, okay, well, if I throw this, is he going to do this? If I back up or if I go forward, what is he going to do? Saan yung distance? Because that's a major part, right? And what's the speed? What's his combinations? What are his habits? And once you start to understand like the foot placement and where these guys are as far as this is what he's gonna throw. If he throws the jab, he's gonna throw a straight or an overhand. It's always gonna be like parang yung left, right, like yung rhythm ng boxing.
Yeah.
But the rhythm of boxing always has to have the proper distance and opportunity for it to land effectively and be a threat. So we, like I said, sa first round, alam ko naman, like first round knockouts are really hard, no? First round
Yeah.
knockouts, I feel are very lucky. They're very lucky because it's about someone made a huge mistake that you were able to
Yes.
capitalize on. I feel like the first rounds are always let's let's date muna. Let's see what
Yes.
you got. Let's
Pakiramdaman.
and yeah, and then
Yeah.
getting to know each other. And then from there it's a dance. It's a dance.
Can I date you?
Ay nako.
Date tayo.
But Jam, you were able to anong round mo siya na figure out? Na break mo yung kanyang game plan. What round?
Three?
Yung
Two, three?
mga, I think, end of second tsaka beginning of three.
Yeah.
Kasi
Mm.
nakita ko talaga yung, ano niya, yung defense niya at yung placement ng elbow niya at saka yung kamay niya. At saka dun ko nakita na vulnerable siya sa chan. And of course,
Yeah.
we worked on it, but to see it in front was just like, wow, it's actually here. So
Uh-huh.
yun nga, sabi ko, okay, I'll work on that.
And
But
then
first, ang pinala ko muna, yung kanan, sinusunod
Oo.
ko yung kanan body shot until it opened up with the left because he was expecting na
You
sa yung left hook ko lang ang
left hook
ko.
mo.
So I think like one of the things that was major in yung interview that si Nonito was a translator at the press conference is sinabi ni Mark, I told yung camp ko because they were really preparing for yung left hook.
Left
Diba?
hook, yes, of course.
Talaga, like when he hit him with a body shot, his hands went up, no? And he said Nonito has more of an arsenal. So parang that was like a forecasting of what they were really focusing on.
Yes.
And they only focused on
The
one
left hook.
punch out of the entire barrage of punches that can be thrown.
Yes.
So I think that really was a forecasting of what they prepared for, and what they prepared for amazing. They prepared for it amazing.
Yes.
His hand was always up. It was always up, but they forgot about, like Mart said, the other punches that he could have thrown throughout the round.
Yes.
Thank you, Mananabas, for life.
How do you read that so quickly? I would read it like mananabas.
Hindi, mananabas.
Mananabas for life.
You guys should send like huge like transcripts of things that are like ana, and then have me read it, because when I see those words,
Slowly.
I start panicking.
Slowly, huh?
Don't be panicked.
Don't be panic, huh?
There's so much like A's and N's that it's a little bit too much.
Were you surprised, champ, na within the 4th round you ended the fight?
No, I wasn't surprised because nakita ko yung vulnerability niya. I was thinking na siguro makuha ko siya ng even earlier because yun nga nakikita ko yung openings niya. But he was actually doing a different game plan. Yun nga, no, yung jab niya at saka yung movements niya. Kasi I feel that, kasi alam ko nakikita ko yun eh. If you look at the fight again, nakikita ko saan siya sumusuntok. At nakikita mo, binablock ko lahat yung susuntok niya.
Yes.
At saka kina-counter ko siya palagi. So I knew ano yung gagawin niya. It was just a different movement than what we expect him to be.
Yeah, I think if it was the Mart that fought Rodriguez, it would have been a different game. It would have been earlier. Pero kasi they changed their strategy, and he was able to adapt in the first and second round. That was something that we had to deal with and then change with throughout the rounds.
Yes.
Yeah. But did you predict any round, champ, na what round mo siya mabi-breakdown and then you can
I feel na parang nakita ko yung style niya. And of course, I was
You're saying 3 eh.
I said 3 or 2? I said 3 ba? Okay. I said 3 daw.
round 3.
na-remember yun. But sabi ko na pag makuha ko yung distansya niya, at kung suntukan lang at suntukan, he was very vulnerable sa counter after he threw the punch. Because nandun siya. But this time, he was actually moving really well. Kaya nga, and of course, the variety of yung malamig yung and of course, don't get me wrong, the kid is good.
Yes.
Just that iba lang yung levels namin because nandun yung experience ko eh. At nakikita ko yung lahat ng mga suntok niya. But for him, the more that he learns, I believe na aabutin niya yung magiging world champion.
Well, let's just put it this way. See, Mayweather had fought Canelo when Canelo was young.
Yeah.
And
very young.
had lost to Mayweather just because of the level, right? The boxing IQ that
Yeah.
Canelo didn't bring to the ring at that time.
Yes.
And
Yes,
Canelo is on top right now. So as long
I
as
know.
we focus on and support
Yes.
yung growth niya, instead of, well, you did this wrong or you did this wrong and you didn't, whatever. If he fixes these things that we talked to him, personally on what we believe that he can work on to get that world title, then the sky's the limit. But it's really up to him and his team to decipher what goes on. Because
Yeah.
we've seen it with Canelo.
We've seen it with a lot of fighters, no?
One loss doesn't decipher your career. It really
Yes.
doesn't.
Got it. What's the game plan? Is the powerful left hook or the body shot?
All of the above.
I'd say
All
body
of the
shot.
above.
Well,
Body
we
shot.
worked on the body shot a lot, but sa akin, ang pinaplano ko doon is to counter with the left hook because nakikita ko yun eh. Pag tinapon niya yung straight, he was vulnerable with the left hook. But I did not put into account na binalik niya yung suntok niya kagad for the defense.
Yeah, huh?
But then our other backup was a body shot. So yun nga, we have that and then movements. So lahat ng marami kaming game plans. But the body shot was something that we really worked on as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I uploaded it because when I started uploading yung sparring, it was when we had no content because he lost his tooth. At alam mo, like we were talking about this DJ Byron, no?
Yeah.
So in case you guys don't know, the last time we were on DJ Byron's was the
I
time
had the mic.
Nonito
I mean the mask.
had no tooth and he was
Yeah.
wearing a mask. And
Yes.
I was super
No,
surprised.
buti nga hindi mo tinanong yun eh.
No one asked why he was wearing a mask, and we're sitting next to each other. But that was the time. Was it October 27 or gonna?
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's God, such a headache.
No, that you were like, oh, I'm preparing for Halloween. This is going to be the Halloween the costume already. So
Oh, kasi
it,
ayaw
it,
naman
it
yung
was
instinto,
it was
nawala
very
yung
close. I
instinto
think
eh.
we were like 2 days before Halloween. I had the first interview with you guys, so it was a very perfect explanation. To be honest, so nobody asked.
J-Man Greyhead. I have a
Ah.
question, champ. Why are you always using blue and orange color in your gear in boxing? This was just recently, siguro 2018 to 2019 yung umpisa ko ginamit yung kulay ko na blue at saka orange is because ang orange ay self-expression of the body, no? It's your expression in terms of the chakras, and then of course the blue is speaking your truth, telling when you can say something, you say it out of your so the blue and orange was a self-expression and a anong tawag nito, confidence sa sarili ko na kung ano yung sasabihin ko totoo yon at I will speak of it with my truth. So hindi lang yun na gusto ko yung blue or gusto ko yung orange, is because it has significant meanings yung kulay na orange at saka blue, and it's by the chakras. Just for me, the body's self-expression and being who I am, and saka of course speaking my truth, which is the blue.
So
Alright.
sorry, DJ Byron. I don't want to ignore. I had seen a comment or a question earlier
Yeah.
about yung gloves.
Yes, I was gonna put this right here.
Yeah. Okay.
This one.
Yan.
Yes.
Asking you to this is the Everlast uses in fight is a puncher's glove like the one. Yes, it's a puncher's gloves. Yung ginagamit ko, it's similar to the Mexican gloves like Reyes, pero yung gloves ko ay mas makapal pa yung leather ng Everlast kaysa Reyes kasi malambot yung Reyes, pero yun nga, puncher's gloves, and yung gloves na ginagamit ko, which is what, the Elites. Ay parang puncher's glove na Reyes, pero mas makapal pa yung at matigas yung leather.
Yeah, so when we switched from Reyes to Everlast, Everlast had MX then, and then they upgraded yung MX to the Elite. So that's what Nonito uses. That's what he was supposed to use to Japan. Pero I think yung shipping had damaged yung gloves at yung luck. Had it where, of course, I don't know if you guys know this, but when there's a fight, usually there's 2 pairs of unopened gloves, no?
Mm-hmm.
So the boxer or the boxer's team goes over there. They open the gloves in front of the commission and they start to feel it out. Like, how does this feel? But the one that had been supplied to Japan was Everlast Elites, and it had been damaged. Where to the point where usually if merong isang left that's not good at its isang right, you could switch the pairs, no?
Yeah, pero yung
Ah.
dalawang
Yung
pairs
dalawang left,
naka-damage eh.
it was
Damage,
damaged.
Oh, that's
So
damage.
why.
he had to take yung overstock ni
Inoue.
Inoue,
Inoue.
yung winning.
Kaya nga yung laban ko ni Inoue, winning yung ginamit ko because of that accident.
Got it. Ito pa isa pang tanong, champ.
Grant.
Ask also what does he think about Keto Reyes, Rival, Hayabusa, Everlast winning in Grant gloves and why he thinks Everlast suits him.
Hayabusa, have you used Hayabusa?
I have not used Hayabusa. I've used the Keto Reyes and I really like the Reyes before, but mas maganda yung Everlast. And I've been using Everlast for a very, very long time
At
now.
least 10 years.
Yeah, at least more than 10 years. Rival, sabi nila maganda rin yung Rival, but I've never used the Rival at saka Hayabusa. The Grants, I know the owner, but I've never really, well, I tried the Grants before, at saka na sumakit yung kamay ko. It just doesn't fit me well. Maybe because I didn't get it custom made, you know. So, but the Grants are good gloves.
Winning, you use sparring.
Winning, I use for sparring because it's very thick and it protects the hand.
Pero sa
Sa laban, I'd rather have the thinnest glove, and I like the Everlast because yun nga no, manipis pero makapal yung leather, tsaka matigas yung leather.
Got it. All right. So, champ, Raymart Gaballo fight is over. What's going to be the game plan for next year's fight for you guys?
Well,
Who you guys eyeing for? So let me ask this, no. Of course, we all know na hindi nangyari yung laban ni pangalan ito, ni Casimero and Butler. Are you going to go after, or not going after is the term, but you're trying to do a fight with Casimero, or whichever comes first, Inoue or Casimero?
Well, manager, ako wala akong pili kung sino makakalaban ko. For me, ang gusto ko talaga is to be unified champion, no? That's always been me. I mean, right now, what I'm thinking of is just hanging out with these little boogers over here and just hanging out with them and enjoying the holidays, you know?
I think with the current climate, the thing is what's stopping a lot of the big fights, no? See Triple G versus Morata.
Yes.
Is
cancel, yeah.
COVID.
Because of COVID, yes.
So I think, of course, we would want yung unification bout with Inoue, but at the same time, we don't know what's happening. We don't know what is going to happen in 4 months, 6 months. We don't, of course, Japan is very strict and very protective about their citizens, and they should be. Dapat, diba? Of course, this is entertainment. It's not yung livelihood ng buong Japan. So, with that respect, the problem is we don't know when it can be made. That would be our first obstacle. The second obstacle would honestly be yung situation ni Casimero. The thing is, he didn't fight Paul Butler we don't know what's going on with yung belt. We don't know if he got stripped. We don't know if it's vacant.
Yes.
And either way is going to be a difficult task. Because let's just say we played this out, no? If he gets stripped, then Paul's going to have to fight someone because he's the mandatory. He's the number one. That's one. Yes. Number two, if Casimero keeps the belt, he still has yung mandatory. Right?
Yes.
And maraming tao that's asked me, well, what if Paul Butler accepts a step aside fee? Pwede yun. Pwede. Pero, the problem is the only reason that the Paul Butler fight and Champ Tata's fight even came to be was because yung purse bid.
Yes.
So, kung wala yung purse bid, there's still an air of uncertainty
A
because
certain, yeah.
they have to go with MP Promotions because from what everyone understands, that's who he is signed to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
until that gets mended, parang malabo yung situation
Hmm.
still. So
Yeah.
we're with Richard, and Richard's amazing. Probellum is amazing. We have no complaints about Probellum, but the situations of both champs, one being a COVID situation, quarantines, no fight venue, and no live audience, and the other having a promotional dispute. We're really going to go with who is going to be able to get out of their situation first,
Yes, of course.
and
Yeah.
that's all we can say because we can't control either situation.
Yes, I
So
understand.
Yeah.
And if the Inoue fight happen, a rematch with Inoue champ, is this going to be in Japan or most likely, or it's going to be here in the United States?
I think, sorry, you keep asking him about the business question, so I'm just going
I'm
to keep
sorry, Miss Rachel. Let me rephrase that.
My
Miss
manager.
Rachel, Miss
um
Rachel. The question is,
I mean,
if the Inoue rematch happen, is this going to happen in Japan or it's going to be here in the United States?
para sa akin, yung laban ni Nonito at Inoue, yung ringside tickets were 1,000 to 1,500. Yung rematch is going to be even more sa Japan. We went to, of course, it was a mandatory with Inoue versus Dasmariñas, and yung ringside tickets were $150. So I think when you start to think about
Yeah,
yung
At saka sold out yung laban namin dun sa Japan,
Japan.
no?
Yeah,
sold out din sa Virgin naman.
Yeah, but it was like 1,000 compared to 20,000.
Oo nga. So, these things that are on the business aspect of a promoter, creating these events and having their bottom line at least covered, and then starting to make profits. Um, the problem is that the problem, or the great thing, depending on what you see, is that the amount of ticket sales in Japan and what they can demand for ticket sales and what they actually do buy is so much higher. They're so hungry for these tickets that they're willing to pay $1,500 for a ringside. What more for the rematch?
that's true.
So when you
May
start to
double
look
it.
at exactly, so when
Yeah.
you start to look at how much is Inoue expecting, how much is Donaire expecting, how much are we going to fill the crowd, how much are the sponsors going to pay, all these things that go into play,
Yeah,
and
has
then
yes, of
you
course.
take that, which is times, let's say 150 times 5, at least, no, 6, 7, 8, almost 10, for being in Japan, and then moving it here to the US, and the amount of fights that we go against each other as far as promotion. So Japan, when there's a fight, there's not another Japanese promotional group that's going against the day of the fight.
Yes,
Dito sa States,
dami. Like
ay,
my
nako.
fight, no? My Lomachenko,
Yeah,
and then my MMA,
Lomachenko,
my
may
ganito ganyan. So maraming mga competition.
that's
Dun sa
true.
Japan lang talaga.
So
Yeah.
business wise, when we're talking about business, of course, Japan is the perfect venue for a rematch because of the business aspect
Yes.
Opo.
we're talking about, diba? But of course, if we're gonna like siguro champ ikaw or Miss Rachel, sorry again, Miss Rachel, of course you wanna happen it here in the United States.
Para sa akin, I think,
Oh,
I
it doesn't matter.
he's gonna say opposite. He's always gonna be the opposite, even though we're wearing
Okay.
the same colors.
Tanggalin ko nga to. Magubad na ako.
Para sa akin, I feel like we already went to Japan. It should be held in the Philippines, or or sa
There you
States.
go.
That's just yung feeling ko. But again, we go back to
Dubai.
Dubai. Pwede.
Yeah, I think it'll be
Pwede.
good because they make they pay good monies there
They
too.
pay
You
So
pay
good
good
money,
money.
and it's a
Yeah.
neutral ground,
it's a
Middle
no?
East.
neutral ground.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I guess
Dubai.
we're not totally separate on this topic.
What? Of course, baby. Kasi maganda ka kasi.
Sus.
Kahit ang
I'm going
kahit
to CR.
kahit anong
Yeah.
gusto mo, babe. Babe,
Wait,
kahit anong gusto mo, babe, gagawin ko lahat
Talagang I'm
para
going to
masaya
CR.
ka na.
I'm going to CR.
wait, of course. I mean, this is the things that you know people na hindi naiintindihan, no, na aside from the boxing, that of course, champ, if gonna ask you, of course, syempre gusto mo dito sa United States, di ba? Pero syempre, there's another part that need to be considered, because it's the business aspect of the boxing, di ba? Which is, it makes a very, very good point, di ba?
Yeah, I
Kasi,
mean, it's worth it naman eh, 'di ba? Even though
yeah,
sometimes we have a place to go, well, if you're getting paid 500,000 and then you're getting paid 2 million sa kabila, which one would you go to?
of
The one
course,
you're comfortable with or the one with more money, 'di ba?
yeah,
So,
tama.
yun nga no, my choice na sometimes you have to just make that choice.
That's true. That's true. So as of now, it's still up in the air. Whoever is gonna come first for you for next year. But
Yes, kasi
aside
wala
from
akong focus ngayon eh. For me, again, ang focus ko is the holidays. Ang focus ko is with my
the
kids.
kids, of course, tama. How long ka, champ, na nasa fight mode after the fight with Raymart?
I'm still in the fight mode.
You're still
Yeah, I'm still in the fight mode.
okay.
I'm very very tempered na talagang iba yung reaction ko. So,
Uh,
but I'm not as bad as I was in the past. Na
yeah,
talagang very hot-headed.
yeah,
Ngayon,
Very hot-headed.
ngayon reaction ko lang is different. It's still reactive but less than before.
less than before. So how long yan, champ? Mga ilang weeks before ka
2 weeks.
mawala
About
ng
2 weeks. About
2 weeks
2 weeks.
after the fight?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to, syempre, give you kudos, champ, dun sa pinakita mong gesture kay Raymart after the fight. No, it's like a heart of a champion, diba? It's like no personal thing. It's just pure boxing. You give him a
Yeah.
hug, diba? And then after that, he went to your after party. He was there, diba? You're giving him tips already. And then after that, you guys had a dinner. So tell me, Chap, mag-share ka naman ng experience mo regarding those times na nakasama mo si Raymart after the fight.
Oh,
Is
just
there
parang
anything na
kuya,
meron
parang
ba siyang tinanong sa'yo or anything na pwede mo bang i-reveal dito?
no, I spoke a lot more than anything. Yun nga no, sinabi ko sa kanya na don't lose hope kasi I believe na maabot mo rin yung magiging world champion if you work hard because I believe you have the talent for it.
Yes.
I was just trying to inspire him. At saka of course, senior ko yung bakit natalo ko siya in terms of strategy at ang bakit ginawa ko yung ginawa ko. So all of that stuff was for him to see, that it's boxing is beyond just strength and speed and stamina. It's strategizing, and setting up.
Well, I
Yes.
think also sa after party, of course, fresh na fresh yung feeling niya si
Yes.
Mark, no?
Yeah.
At maraming tao, and he was coming into our after party. So alam niya that everyone that was there was our supporters din, 'di ba? And then there was cameras, parang we couldn't really talk yung whatever he really wanted to say.
To say,
Um,
yeah, it's understandable.
so
Yeah.
we found out from a mutual friend that he was in Vegas. That si Nonito had texted him, "You're in Vegas," and he's like, "Yeah, we're here until whatever date." And then si Nonito's like, "Can we let's take him out to dinner?" So alam mo na that we went live when they
Uh-huh.
came, pero we respected yung conversation nila
Of
to
course.
be able to be private. And from there, that's when they really dwelled deep in yung strategy, what happened, what we saw,
Uh-huh.
lahat. Kasi we have respect for him, and we don't believe that should be contented just to get views.
Got it. Of course.
So that's why I said, you guys, we're gonna respect their privacy, allow them to eat by themselves. Thank you for watching. Bye. And they had their conversations, and even because they were both Visayan, I was lost in translation
Oh,
at the dinner anyway, so
okay.
I don't even know what they exactly talked about. But
How was Raymart, champ, when you have a conversation when you had a conversation
Very
with him,
quiet.
like
Very
giving him
quiet.
points and tips regarding about and
Very
explaining
quiet.
to him paano mo siya na-beat? Very
He's
quiet.
just quiet and very respectful. Yun lang. And I
That's
was just
very
kind of
nice.
just talking most of the
Yeah.
time.
Mm.
Hoping na may natutunan siya sa sinabi ko.
Yes.
But he was just very respectful and just nodding, you know, that's it, and just smiling and stuff. Very shy kid.
Ilan taon na si Remar? 20, I think 24, 26.
24?
24, 24.
24?
Mm,
Yeah,
24.
24, 24, 24, 25, something like that.
Why do you smell like
Ah.
nuts?
Basta nut.
Alright,
Basta
so I
nut.
think, Champ, okay lang ba magpapakita ko, Champ, ng mga fan?
Wait,
They want...
sorry.
Go ahead.
DJ, before you do, can you highlight yung last question, J-Man?
J-Man.
Unless he's the
Okay.
one that's coming up.
Okay.
Okay, done. I have a question from Rachel. What is the hardest to do as a manager trainer? How do you handle this business as a woman? So many questions in one post.
Alright. Let me
Okay,
get my charger while you're answering that, Miss Rachel.
sige. What is the hardest to do as a manager and trainer? I think the hardest thing to do is kasi as a trainer, I believe in yung ability niya. As a manager, my job is to make sure that yung deal is the best deal he is going to get. So I think parang like those two different mindsets at yung roles are very almost contradictory. Kasi yung trainer is lahat like, I don't care if we're fighting for $5,000, we're gonna beat them. Pero yung manager talaga is the one that says, why are we gonna go and fight for 5,000 if we can make, I won't call 30,000, diba? Yung manager talaga is the negotiator at doesn't have yung parang lakasan that's like, well, we can beat them. It shouldn't matter. How do you handle this business? I mean, I just take it every day. Every day there's something different. Every day there's a high and there's also a low. Especially sa boxing kasi it's a man's sport at a man's business naman.
This is a man's world.
See? So, you know, of course, there's always going to be bashers. There's always going to be keyboard warriors. There's also going to be guys who have a name in the industry that would like to make their voice known that they don't want me in the industry.
Oh yeah.
But then there's the other side of people who respect me. So it's such an up and down. And alam ko that the only reason I'm in this is kasi I'm watching out for him. Boxing is a very dirty industry. If the person that you are going to create a life with isn't going to have your back, then who is talaga?
Ayun.
Oh, wait,
Alright, so-
there's one more question.
So,
DJ.
there's more. I'm sorry.
One more
I'm so
na.
sorry. Okay.
As a woman, what is the difference in men as a handler? Yung difference is all they're going to do is they're going to attack yung gender mo. That's pretty much it.
That's true.
You know, that's their lowest point. Yung how I dress, how I speak, if I should be cooking in the kitchen. That's pretty much that's their whole go-to.
Hindi marunong magluto to, no?
Yeah, so I don't know why I should be in
Sunog
the kitchen.
lahat if she's
I
cooking.
cook good spaghetti.
You do cook great spaghetti. Not good,
Pero
great
scrambled
spaghetti.
eggs, I burn.
Everything you burn except your
Alright.
spaghetti. Ako yung nagluluto eh. Mahilig ako sa magluto eh.
Alright.